Hello guys, Red Green here with another video for you. No, it's not, it's me, it's Nige. Yeah, it is Nige. I've got another video review for you. Yay! I got a box from Amazon, it's just came, just literally this minute. I've just finished doing the Tamiya Mustang review. In fact, I nearly finished it and the doorbell went, so I had to do a bit of editing. But yeah, this box came, and I asked a question the other day. I said I wanted to build something, which one do you think I should get? And you told me and I listened. So let's have a look inside this box and see what's in here. Obviously I've taken address labels off because I don't want you all knowing where I live and coming round and seeing me and bringing me lots of presents and embarrassing me by sending donations, and that'd be you know, that would be awful. So let's have a look inside this box. Let's see what's in here. Ooh. It's a Revell kit. Once again, we've got another Revell kit. And there it is. Yay! You're probably thinking, what the hell have you bought that for? Yes, this kit, I think, is about as old as Apollo 11 itself, which is nearly as old as me. I want to build one of these because, well, a couple of reasons. I actually saw Apollo 13 go up, as I've mentioned before. I was 6 years old. Maybe it was me that jinxed it, I don't know. But I suddenly just got a bit of interest in it because we're in the 50th year this year of Apollo 11, and it's probably, you know, the most amazing thing that man ever did, if it did actually happen. I actually think it did. I know there's people out there that think it's a big hoax, but I think it did actually happen. I think man did walk on the moon in 1969. And basically I want to build a model of it. Now, there aren't many kits out there. There's the Airfix 144 scale, which is going to be coming back out, but that, again, like this one, is a very old kit and a bit simple. At the moment it's not available, and it's what is around is like twice the price of this one. This was like 23 quid on Amazon in the UK. I would have got it at my local shop, but they didn't have any. So as I say, I believe in supporting the local shop, but if they haven't got one, then no good. And also, if you remember in a video, my last build along video, I asked the question, instead of fancy building one, which one should I get, this one or the Revell 196 scale, which is obviously a bit bigger than this one. This one stands at 77.5 centimeters tall. The other one stands, I believe, at just over a meter. So yeah, it's quite a noticeable difference. It's just, you know, it's a lot really. But as I said, they're both very old kits, so it really doesn't make a difference. So I expect it's going to be covered in flash and everything. And I am going to build this, and I'm going to build it online, which you may be happy about. And I think it'll make an awesome video series for beginners, because this being an old kit, it's plastered in flash. It's going to have fit issues. It's going to have issues because the mouldings are so old. But also, it's going to be seam city. Everywhere you look on this is going to be a seam. And I've noticed there have been a few builds of this online, and I can't find a build on YouTube. I'm sure there's builds online, like photographic builds, but I can't find a video build where anybody's really gone to town and really worked at getting the seams gone, you know, because it always looks to me on the finished models that when they're left, it's sort of, you've got this area here, which is smooth, where you've got the United States and everything written. But then in these ribbed areas, I don't know if you look at the kits that people have built, it looks like the round areas sort of come up to a point, rather than being perfectly circular. They sort of, it's two ovals like that, and they end up with a point where the seams are. And I want to try and do some work to correct that. Now, I've got a lathe, so I could always build these cylinders up and then turn them in the lathe to get them round. But not everybody's got a lathe, so I'm going to see if I can find another way of doing it. And I think you'll enjoy watching what I do. So yeah, it's an old kit. It gets a lot of knocking by people, but I think it's sort of correct-ish. I mean, all of the kits are wrong on the exhaust nozzles because none of them have got the protective coating on there, and I believe this one's got some issues with the second stage exhaust nozzles. But if you display the model stood on its stand or with a LUT or whatever, a launch umbilical tower, I think that stands for. I'm no expert. I am watching a bit and learning. Then then you're not going to see the second stage exhaust anyway. But they're in there. You can paint them and make them look pretty and weather them and whatever. And yeah, so I'm gonna build this, and I'm gonna do it as a build series. It won't be a build along or anything, and it won't be a sort of start to finish build because it's too involved. So as I say, what I did, I asked in the video, shall I get the 144 scale kit or shall I get the 196? And I decided on the 144 scale because it's smaller. It's like, what is it? It's less than a quarter of the price, about a quarter of the price, and it's a bargain of a model. So, but in a minute we'll get on the bench and have a look at it. But just before we do that, if you've seen my Mustang GT4 RC review, which is actually uploaded now as we speak, you'll know that I went to Antics to get it. So I was in Antics and I asked if they had the 144 scale, and they said no, but we've got the 196 scale. And I said, yeah, but your prices are a bit high. I could get it for like £65 at online. And they said, we'll match that. Hey, yeah, we'll match that for £65 if you want it. So it's worth a go, guys. If you've seen a kit online and you know it's free postage, obviously you can't expect Antics to match the price of something if it's £100 and then £30 postage. You can't expect them to match it for £100, £130 maybe. But it's worth asking. If ever you're in Antics or on the phone or whatever, it's worth asking the question. So they basically matched it. They did this for me for 65 quid. So here it is, and I couldn't really resist it. And I've got to go off camera because I can't not go off camera. Here I am, I'm back, and I'm just going to keep going up, and I'm going to keep going up, and my arms are now as extended far as I'm going to go. And there you are. There's the bottom of the box. So yeah, so basically I got both of them. Then what I did, I came home and looked online, and I found that kit is very good. It's probably not worth £65, but it's a big Apollo Saturn V. The Dragon kit is no longer available and fetching stupid money. I've no doubt it's going to reappear anytime soon with the 50th anniversary, but it's going to be stupid money, and it's also got a lot of accuracy issues, and it costs a fortune to correct, I believe. So I went online, looked online, and there's a company called Newware, and they do an update set for this. They're in the Czech Republic. Got in touch with them, so that's in the post as well. So I'll be building this one online as well with the upgrade kit, which replaces and adds a hell of a lot to it. It's I'll do a review of the upgrade kit when it comes before I even start this. It's something like 150 pieces of photo etch and 90 pieces of resin or something stupid, and then it's got a load of decals and everything with it as well. So yeah, it really is something else, and it really does add to the very basic kit. The other thing is, it's a bit weird with this one. When we do a review of it, you'll see it's got, in fact, another reason for getting this is there's not much about it on YouTube at all. There's a French guy who's recently done a nice little sort of build of it, and he's up to, I think he's on stage 2 at the moment, stage 2 of the rocket, not the instructions. And yeah, it's a very basic build he's doing. But it's lovely, but it's French. I don't understand what he's saying because I'm stupid and don't speak French. So I thought I'd do a bit of a build on that because there doesn't seem to be much I know anything about, and there's certainly no reviews or anything on it. So yeah, it's really weird. It goes together the sort of the smooth sections, as I just pointed out, where you've got USA and United States. They're made of plastic sheet, and you roll them up into a cylinder, and then you've got plastic circles that go either top and bottom of it. So we'll have a look at that later. So let me get on the bench. Let's do a quick review of this 144 scale kit, and let's see just how bad it really is. Right, so once again we've got glossiness and reflection and everything. Sorry. So there we go. The box is fairly largish, and on the front we've got a picture of it as completely launching away from the Earth, and there's the moon over there, I believe. So I don't quite know what's going on. It's going the wrong way. No, it goes into orbit, doesn't it, and stuff. I have a lot to learn, but as I'm looking into it, I'm becoming quite interested in the whole concept of it. And I watched a documentary the other day, a real documentary about Apollo 13 and what was really going on, rather than sort of being taken in by the film, which is also very accurate. But funny thing I did hear, I can't remember his name now, but the director of the film He talks at the end of the documentary about the film that he was speaking to. Well, he was looking through the question cards on the preview, that you get a questionnaire and they ask you what you think of the film, certain aspects and stuff. And there was one that said absolute rubbish, no way, what a load of junk, I can't believe they made such a load of rubbish. That would never have happened in real life. They wouldn't have survived. I thought, oh my God, there are people around. So yeah, so that was a comment that was made about the film. But yeah, when you actually listen to about how they get into orbit and slingshot around and everything, and if they miss the atmosphere, they'll bounce off it and be gone forever. And oh God, it must have been absolutely petrifying for them. So I don't think I could have done it. My nerves wouldn't let me. So anyway, here's the kit in the box. We'll have a look around the box, and we can see we've got some information there. Paints you're going to need for it. I just thought it was black and white myself, but never mind. And then we've got something it's talking about here. It's 30¼ inches in height. It's got a launch platform. Blah 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 blah. You can read that there yourself if you want to pause the video. And then we've got some images here. This is the rocket boosters from stage 1. Got a little stand here. We've got some figures here to give you an idea of the size. And then we've got, these are the other stages. That's going to be stage 3, I believe. That's stage 2 coming out of stage 1. And over here we've got the abort mechanism there. That's like this rockets inside there, so that they could just hit an abort, and if the rest of the rockets started to play up, it was just that bit that come away. Got a lunar module there, which goes in with these opening flaps. I don't know if I have them open. I'll probably just glue it all closed, to be honest, because the builds I have seen, when it's all closed up, there's a few gaps and stuff. It looks a little toy-like, but we'll have a look at that. And on the back of the box, we've got some adverts for some other kits. And then on the other side of the box, we've got some history there that you can read there if you want to read about it, but you probably already know. And yeah, really, there's some fantastic documentaries about this. So I haven't looked inside the box. It's still all sealed up. So let's get some. Let's get a knife. You can see it's still sealed up here. Let's open this up and have a look, see what we think of it. As I say, got this on Amazon. It was about 23 quid, and very reasonable price. It's the old style Revell instructions. So it's not just one bag; it's 2 bags. They seem to have a sort of, oh, they're not. I thought they were slightly inflated. So we've got the stand here, and some loose parts by the sound of it. Look at all this flash. And then we've got the white parts here. So let's, rather than pause the video, let's just cut this bag open and have a look at what we've got here. Or is it taped closed? No, it's going to be a case of cutting it open. So I'll cut this bag open. As I say, I'm going to be building this, so I'm not worried about opening the bags. Like on some kits I don't want to. So there's the stand. Wow, it says West Chicago, Illinois. So is this actually made in America? I don't know. But we've got a little yeah, we've got one of the legs is broken off there. I don't think I'll be using this anyway, but whatever. So we've got this little stand there, and that's what's that? That's a good, what is it? There's 150. It's about 185 millimeters square. So it's quite a substantial little moulding actually. And then in there should be, oh, there's lots of pieces broken off, and there's our missing leg. Let me just get this light sort bag out. So there's our silver sprue, and we've got the main actual rocket motor bases there. We've got our oxygen tanks, liquid oxygen, hydrogen, whatever it is. It's liquid hydrogen, I think, isn't it? And then that's the top of the command module, isn't it, I think? And then we've got our exhaust nozzles there with our rocket motors on the side. It's all pretty simple, but it's all tucked away underneath. So if you wanted to build a super detailed model, then I'm sure you could. I'm sure there's going to be lots of accessories out there you could buy and really go to town on it. But there we go. Let's get that stand out of the way, and we can see that sprue there is that's what it is. You can see my hands on it. It's fairly large. It's a big old brute, but yeah, you can see there from the flash. I can't see any dates on here, so it's actually, this is interesting. Second stage, third stage, payload, first stage, That's really interesting. I'm looking for a date. I can't see anything at all. But it's obviously old because you've got the parts actually moulded on there. But look, they've feathered the edges out and everything. It's nice and thin. So yeah, and these in reality had like a pneumonic covering on them, a sheet metal covering, so you wouldn't have seen all these ribs on here. But anyway, something I did see that was absolutely fascinating was on the, I think it was on the shuttle, not on this, but the actual liquid oxygen was pumped through, because these burn at way above the melting temperature of the metal, and the actual liquid oxygen is pumped down down the side of the nozzles into a manifold at the bottom, and then there's hundreds of tubes which feed up in through the nozzle into the engine, and then the actual liquid oxygen is cooling the nozzle and preventing it from melting, and then being burnt. So basically you've got your fuel is being used to cool the engine before you use it to power the engine. I found that fascinating, and that was on a Richard Hammond video that I saw on YouTube. I was quite impressed with that. So let's just put those bits over there out of the way, and then we'll get this bag open and have a look at these parts. This is all going to be probably very flashy and parts off the sprues as well. So let's just have this over here out of the way. What I'll do is I'll get it all out in front of you, and then you can see what we've got in here. At least it's all backed up, eh? There's a piece in there, be careful not to lose that one. As I say, whenever you're doing a kit, don't ever throw the bags away. You never know what tiny bits might be in the corner. Just stick the bags in the bottom of the box. And that piece there, I don't know what it is, but I'm going to put that in the corner with the others out the way. So what have we got here? We've got a, this is our stage 1 by the look of it. Got some parts here, stage 2. And then here we've got, this is going to be the cover doors for the lunar module. This is going to be stage 3, and then over here we've got our lunar module here. This is our command support unit, isn't it? This is the capsule. I can never remember the names of these parts. That's the abort rocket there. Then you've got the cover that goes over the command module there for launch to protect the command module. This is the support module for the command module. This is the one that blew the side panel out on Apollo 13. That looks like that's the base of the lunar module. And then we've got little rocket nozzles there, and the actual lunar module had a nozzle on it, but that's probably the one for the back of the command module. And you can see the men there. You can see they're absolutely tiny up against my fingers. So that's that sprue there, and I mean, for its age, it's got raised detail, but it's there's detail there, and you know, nice bit of silver paint, good bit of seam work. It's going to look lovely. And as I say, I think this build would be great for beginners to watch, because everywhere we go we've got seams, and on stuff like this we're going to have to try and get a nice metal finish on here and hide the seam. So that'd be good about doing that and filling it and priming it and everything. In fact, I may even build this bit first, and then that's got plenty of time for the filler, primer, whatever to go off before we put the metal coat on, because as I've been saying before, you don't want to be putting your filler in there and then finding after you've put your silver paint on that it all sinks. But I mean, the moulding, you look how old it is. It's really, really nice. I've also got some gold foil put by for these. So so that's that sprue there, and then we've got this little sprue in the middle, which is part of our second stage. And as you can see, we've got just a cylindrical piece here. Still looking for a date. Yep, this says second stage. And this is the rib section. These smooth sections here, these are actually our tanks. They're the tanks that are holding all the fuel. And then these rib sections here are the support pieces that go between the tanks and make up the cylinder of the whole thing. And if you notice, when they lose stage 1, stage 1 comes away, and then a few seconds later this ring comes away that exposes the exhaust nozzles for stage 2. So in fact, I'm looking, I think I may have a sprue missing, because I have no exhaust nozzles for stage 2. Oh yeah, they are. I do have them. These are them here. So they're probably the ones that are wrong. So yeah, and apparently as well they had rockets that faced forward, so that when they actually separated, the main unit that carried on into orbit would go forward and blast forward, and the unit that was coming off would blast in the opposite direction to make sure they snapped away. And apparently in that moment the astronauts within there went from like 3.5 G to -1 G to 3.5 G in a split second. And if you look in one of the films, they get a hell of a jolt as they separated. It must have been frightening. It must have been terrifying being in the bloody thing. But yeah, I think these are those these lumps that go around the outside. I think they're the actual little rocket motors that separated them. And then this is the main base. This is the main base of the actual thing itself. You can see we've got plenty of flash on there, and we've got the fins that go on the outside here. They actually had little boosters on the either side of them, but they're missing on the kit as well. So but we can see it's all it's quite nicely moulded. It's all crisp and everything, and this is what I was talking about. When you actually look at how the moulding is, and I know now why that's happened. It's because it's a 2-piece mould. There's no slide mould on it, so basically when they've moulded it, you've got a top part here and a bottom part here, so you can't have ribs going like this around the outside because there weren't any slide moulds. It's such an old kit, there's no technology. So that's why they've moulded, like these parts, they've moulded them vertically so you can have the grooves, but on these parts you can't. So that'll be fun. We'll do some work on that, doing some scribing and stuff. And when you actually look at it, if I can get it to focus, if I can get this to focus end on here, look here camera, there we go, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. When you actually see people have built this kit, the actual smooth part is cylindrical, but this part comes out to a raised lip. So I'll show you how to sort that. Well, I'll try. I've never done this before, but let's see if we can make this work together and make it look like that, rather than like than two ovals glued together. And it's the same down here. You can see down here as well. It's the same there. So yeah, we'll enjoy this. We'll have some fun, and you can also watch me get rid of these seams, and it will look absolutely seamless. And the other thing you won't believe, you'll be quite surprised by probably, especially if you're a beginner. I'm going to be, I don't know what's going on with my camera, it's decided it's going to stop focusing. There we go. I'm going to actually paint this dark grey or black before I paint it white. A lot of people go white primer and then paint it white. Painting white plastic white is ridiculous, and painting black at first really gives the white some depth. I'll show you when we get there. You'll be absolutely amazed. Okay, I just had to pause there because for some reason the camera was playing up, and it was deciding it was going to just sort of keep freezing all the time on the focus. I don't know why I'm there, but anyway, now move on to this sprue here, and this is the other half of our second stage. We've got our third stage here. This is the unit the tapered cone that's going to go between the second and third stage. And then above the third stage we get these doors where the that goes on first, that cone, and then we get these doors where the lunar module's hiding in behind. And then we've got these bits here, not quite sure what they are. There's some more rocket motors there, and then some more shrouding and bits and pieces here. I'm sure there's a lot could be added to this model, but for what it is, I'm just going to build it out of the box, I think. And I think we'll go to town on the other one. I can't afford to spend too much money. I would really like to build the 72nd scale one. If it comes out again, I probably will. I probably will get it. But yeah, basically there we go. And I think we're going to have the same issue on this one. Yes, we are. You can see there we've got the same issue there on this one, and it's basically comes out to a taper rather than going all the way around because of the way it's moulded. It's not an issue here because we've got a fairing there, so that should be fine. So that basically, I think, is that. So let me get all this plastic put away and we'll have a look at the instructions. Just as a matter of interest, guys, I've just had a quick look before I put this away. I don't know if you can make that out in there. 1968. Revell Incorporated, 1968, well, copyright 1968, Revell Incorporated, made in USA. So it is actually American. It's not Chinese, so that's cool. And yeah, all rights reserved, made in USA, 1968. So it's actually older than the first mission to the moon. Right, let's have a look at the instructions. And something's just dawned on me actually. As I just said, 1968. This kit was originally moulded, so it's probably got inaccuracies for any of the actual Apollo 11 mission, Apollo missions, 11 through 17. So I'm not going to go rivet counting on this. I just want something in the living room that looks like a Saturn V sat there in July. That's all I want. So the other one, different story. This one I'm not going to worry about too much. This is more about a kind of a video. I want the Saturn V, and you're going to get a video that shows you how to cure seams and look at issues, and we're going to get this looking right and painted properly and everything. So let's have a look through the instruction manual. As I said earlier, it's the old-fashioned instruction manual. It's not the usual. It's not the what was that? It's not the new sort of colour type instruction manual. The other one I don't know. I haven't opened the box yet. I'm saving that for you guys. So basically, yeah, we've got the instruction manual here, and it's given us some bump on there about the actual Apollo missions. There you can read if you want to pause it, and it's all very interesting. So going into the manual, usual thing. It's got our, this is how we do it and everything, and this is sort of the old American style, isn't it? I wonder if it actually says copyright Revell USA. I'm not sure if this comes from Germany or America. It's Germany, so it is Revell Germany. So and it says printed in Germany there too. So right, so going through, in fact the fact that everything's in German first should be a clue for me, shouldn't it? And then it's got all our different callouts and everything, the symbols used while making the model. So here we've got our paint callouts, and unusually for Revell there's no mixing. That's no unusual, but basically the callouts just all in Revell colours, but you can find a match, I'm sure, somewhere, and make up your own colours or use your own paints, because not everybody has Revell, not everybody likes Revell. They're my newfound thing for brush painting. I've just done a trial with some airbrushing, and I must say I'm quite impressed as well, so I may use them on this, we'll see. So we've got our sprue callouts, and I think obviously I have got everything. I don't have a sprue missing, it looks like everything's there. So yeah, everything's there. And it's saying here painting exclamation mark 3738, and it's saying the same here. So 3738, why would it be saying exclamation mark 3738 before we even start? I really don't know. Why would they have an exclamation mark talking about painting before we even start the kit? We haven't even got to step one. And there's only one version. So I don't quite understand what's going on. I really don't understand what's going on there. Something may become apparent. Maybe somebody's built this and they'll know, or maybe somebody from Revell is watching and knows, but I don't have a clue. I don't know why you would have an exclamation mark in there about painting. Maybe they're saying you might want to paint it first. So anyway, first of all, we're going to put our rocket engine together, rocket nozzles together, and then we're going to add the fins. Make sure we move the ejection pins from the end of there, and then gluing the rocket motors into the base, and then assembling the stage one with the top of the chamber, whatever it is, liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen, I can't remember, in there. And it's telling us HF, which is a green colour. So do your research, make sure you get the right colours. and it's telling us that G is here. I'm not sure if that's, so that is pointing to the outside. So basically, I think what you would do here is paint the inside of this end, paint this, or maybe not even, just glue it all together and then paint it after when you've done the seams and everything. Same here, and what I'll probably be doing here is removing the location pins so to show you how to get a better alignment on the parts to make the seam clean, because we've got 20 seams to deal with there. There's 2 seams per motor, 5 motors, so yes, we've got 10 seams, not 20. Sorry, my maths has gone crazy. So there we are, that's that. And then we're going to put our men onto our stand, and he's saying, look over there. Yeah, why would he be saying look over there? There's a dirty great rocket next to you, mate. You're not going to look over there, are you? And then we're going to add the top of the cylinder part of stage 1 onto the base, and then we're going to put all this in the base. And when you sit it down in, the actual, you've got lugs on here that clip into there, and I don't really want that on there, so that's why I'm saying I probably won't use the base. I'll probably come up with something else. I may even buy an LUT if there's a cardboard one you can get, because they just look so much better when they're stood next to the LUT. So here we've got this cylinder here. We're going to cut the part out, and then we're going to add that to the top of step 1, and we're not going to glue it, I guess. Are we going to glue it or not? What does that symbol there mean? It maybe means no glue. Illustration of assembled parts. It's not something that's not to, oh, it does say don't cement there. You've got to be so careful with some of these old Revell instructions to look for the codes. If this was a Tamiya kit, it would say no cement. A lot of Airfix kits, no cement, but no, it's just saying here don't cement it, so you won't glue that on if you want it all to come apart. If you don't want it to come apart, just glue it all together, fill your boots. Then we're going to add these little rocket motors here, and we've got these tabs going on which everything locks into, and then we're going to build up our 3rd stage with our top and bottom areas there, and then going on adding that cone onto the top of the 3rd stage. Sorry, 2nd stage, and then adding our rocket motors in. Again, I think, as I said, I think these are inaccurate, but who knows. In fact, yeah, that looks very inaccurate. If that's how it goes, if that goes on the end of there and you look down through those nozzles, that's obviously very wrong. So yeah, glue that together, guys. Don't bother having that open. There's no way that's correct. You've got an open cone there leading down to, no, we'll have to have a look at that. So then we've got the 2nd stage going on to the 1st stage there, so now we're getting up pretty tall, and then we're going to work on our 3rd stage, and again we've got the top and bottom of our internal tanks there. It's going to help keep everything nice and round, and then we're going to glue the other side on, and then we've got our single motor to go on there, which goes on the back end, and then that's going to clip into the top of there. Again, no cement, and they're telling you to look at 37 for painting it. And then this is our support module, or command module support, command support module. I can't remember the call now. My memory's gone, I'm old. So yeah, that's the bit that, this is actually the bit, the 1st stage goes, you almost see that go from the earth. 2nd stage goes soon after, then the 3rd stage goes, and on the front of the 3rd stage you've got the cone with the up here, you've got the lunar module sat in there, and then this basically comes off the support module, turns around, you've got the command module on the front, picks up the lunar module out of the 3rd stage, and then the 3rd stage goes off and becomes space junk. Here we are building the front of the 3rd stage with the lunar module going together now, and the legs can fold in and out, and looks like a bug there, isn't it? It's like a fly or a wasp or something coming at you. With legs going into a tap dance. And then we've got the lunar module going in there, and then we've got these flaps that fold up either side, and they can you can have them up or glue them shut or whatever. I'll probably glue them shut. Then we've got a command module here which doesn't have a separate base. That had a separate base for actual space use, and then that base came off for re-entry through the atmosphere. Then you've got this abort, this is the abort part here, this goes onto the top of there, and I believe, I don't know for sure, I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe this part would be triggered if they had a problem on launch, say there was a massive fire or something exploded, they could hit the abort buttons in the actual command module, and just that part would shoot off into the sky and then come down on parachutes, and so they'd be saved rather than burn up with the rest of the thing. So I'm assuming, like with aircraft, takeoff and landing would be the two most dangerous points. So yeah, there we go. We got it all together now. We fitted everything on, got our model built up, and it's telling us all the different paints and all the different decals. We've got a very massive number of decals to go on here. I'm surprised there's no options for 11, 12, 13, whatever. But as I say, it's probably incorrect anyway. If it was 1968 and it was made before the actual Apollo 11, there's probably like incorrect moulding on certain parts that that don't apply to those versions. So there we go. And then there's the detail with the decals and everything for the lunar module, the command support module, and the command module. So very, very nice. And then finally, we've got our decal sheet here, which is fairly nice. It says printed in Italy, so I'm not sure if they're cartograph. They're very flat. There's quite a lot of carrier film around these USA bits and United States and everything. But yeah, give it a gloss coat, use some microsol, and they'll disappear under a coat of matte varnish. This would be completely flat, except for the areas around the command module. So yeah, we've got quite a few decals on there, which is nice to see. Yeah, so I'll just give you a quick close-up on them so you can see what they're like. Yeah, stars and bars there, and then you've got the label here for your stand, and then you've got your these symbols here, which are for they could pick up and see the orientation and everything. And yeah, so very, very nice little United States badges there for the side of the command module. And I think these go on the side of the command support module. No, these are for the lunar module, aren't they? And then the ABCD, I'm not sure what they're for. I think they go on the sides of the pods at the bottom, which go around the rockets, the rocket motors. So there we go, guys. So that is the Revell 144th scale Apollo Saturn V. I'm going to start a video build of this very soon. So if you want to build along with me, feel free. If you are an experienced modeler, you might want to not bother watching, because I'm not going to be doing anything particularly fancy with this, just the normal stuff. If you are a beginner, I think you'll find a lot of interest in how to get rid of seams, retain the roundness, not get flat spots, how to deal with sinks. Not kitchen sinks or anything you wash your face in, but where the plastic sinks after it's had work done to it. And yeah, we'll be using some metallizer paints around the top end here, and then we'll be doing some decaling and also show you how to do the masking my way and not get any bleed or any you know, horrible bleeding under the edges, just by basically using very, very fine coats of paint and almost using the mask as a wall to paint over rather than actually a mask. So, because remember, you've got to get the paint in between all those ridges. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's going to be a lovely looking model. It'll sit in the corner of the living room, probably on the fireplace, probably down the side of the fireplace or something, and it'll be a proper little centre of interest. I think it's probably too tall to put on top of a cabinet, and certainly the other one will be. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you are into your space stuff and that. Hit the notifications bell, because as I said, I'm going to be building this one. I'm going to do a review on the new wall stuff as soon as it comes in. I think new wear they're called, not new wall, new wear. As soon as that stuff comes in, I'll be doing that, and a review on the actual 96 scale kit as well, and I'll be doing a build of that on here as well. So yeah, keep looking in. I'm also my favourite scale is 32nd scale. I see Revell have also relaunched the old command module and support module in 32nd scale with all the interior and everything, and I'm quite tempted to have a go at building that. It's very, very simple, but I noticed that Newer also do an interior set for it, which is all photo etched instrument panels and everything. So I don't know, I might have a look at that. We'll see. Might need some rescribing and stuff, and I think it looked quite impressive. So have a what you think. So as I say, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell if you're into this sort of thing, and you'll see it coming up in the very near future. So bye bye guys, I'll see you all soon.